It's hard for someone to deny that the ancient Romans had a monumental impact on the ancient world, one of the vastest empires in European history. At its height, it controlled everything from Babylon to modern-day Portugal and into northern England. Over 100 years before it reached its height, however, Rome had nearly secured its grip on northern Africa. With all that time under Roman rule, what exactly did the Romans do in the region? Of course, before we see what the Romans did, we first have to look at the conditions of North Africa before the Roman conquest. In the west, Carthage controlled most of the coastal area comprising Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia today, along with southern Iberia and a few islands in the Mediterranean. Carthage dates its history back to Phoenician trading colonies along the Mediterranean coast of Africa around the 9th century BCE. Carthage was the largest of the cities, and eventually consolidated itself and grew into a steady maritime empire. Its roots as a Phoenician colony meant that boat building and sailing was a deeply traditional practice and skill among the Carthaginians, which allowed them to build the largest navy in the Mediterranean Sea at the time. Carthage served as a roadblock to the early expanding Roman Republic. The 3 Punic Wars with Carthage were all won by Rome, all ending with Carthage ceding more and more territory to the growing Roman state. The wars ended in 146 BCE, with Rome destroying the city of Carthage. All of Carthage's holdings were ceded to Rome, and it allowed for the now quite powerful Roman Republic to conquer the rest of the eastern Mediterranean. Rome's conquest of Egypt went a little differently. Egypt was under the control of the Ptolemaic kingdom ever since Alexander the Great died, and his empire was partitioned among his top generals and governors. The Ptolemaic pharaohs ruled Egypt for almost 300 years until it fell to the Romans. Even before Alexander's conquest, Greece had influenced the culture of the region for many centuries, founding colonies that would eventually become greatly successful and important, such as the Pentapolis, surrounding the city of Cyrene, which the Roman province it would eventually reside in was named after, and the city Alexander had built himself. Greek culture became dominant in Egypt with the dawn of Ptolemaic rule, at least in and around the Nile Delta. Greek culture even fused with Egyptian culture, eventually resulting in large buildings and temples constructed during the Ptolemaic dynasty, such as the Temple of Horus, many carrying through construction projects, such as the Lighthouse of Alexandria and a Red Sea Canal linked to the Nile River. Roman rule in the region was not smooth sailing right off the bat. The city of Carthage was largely destroyed after the Third Punic War, and it would also take many years before it eventually was rebuilt. Many other cities and settlements were established in the Roman province of Africa during the period of Pax Romana. Many of these newer towns, and nearly all of the older ones, flourished as maritime centers for trade and communications. Northeast Africa produced plenty of other goods, including cereals and olives. Many maritime and even land trade routes were maintained by the Romans. One prominent city is Leptis Magna, an archaeological and UNESCO World Heritage Site in modern-day Libya, which thrived under Roman rule. Roman rule in Egypt is also a different story. There's a reason that one of history's oldest and most renowned civilizations emerged along the Nile River. The banks of the Nile have some of the best soil in the world for growing crops, and the crop they grew was wheat. To say that Egypt was an important province to Rome is, in every way, an understatement. Rome was not aided by, but heavily relied on the regular, bountiful harvest of wheat, which was imported into the internal city as it grew in size and population. Unfortunately, in order to achieve this regular harvest, harsh labor was irregular for your average Roman Egyptian farmer. Strict taxes, as well, meant that far more money was leaving the province than going back into it. In many ways, Rome exploited Egypt as an agricultural asset and did little else. On the other note, Pax Romana allowed for great urban development, and Alexandria's importance as a trade center increased. However, these could have been the only goods a regular Egyptian citizen may have seen from Roman rule. So what conclusion might one come to? Rome's selfishness with its governance of Egypt is obvious to see, and its economic exploitation of the region certainly affected the population. However, the urban development carried out along the coast of North Africa as a whole helped to incorporate North Africa into the rest of the Mediterranean world, and the land and sea routes it helped facilitate did the same in enticing trade and bringing people to the region to stay. Was this because of Roman rule? Or would the area have grown the way it did if it was left on its own, without the interconnectivity of the Roman Empire? I suppose this conclusion is one for the individual to make.